Hi, it's Kyle here with Music is a Verb, and on episode 1 of Really Cool Harmony, we're going to talk about Sk8er Boi by Avril Lavigne and how it uses pivot chord modulation to shift us into a brand new, unrelated key every single chorus. Let's take a look. Alright, so the intro and the verse of this song are in D major, and it uses a variation of the famous 1-5-6-4 chord progression. That's the chord progression from the Axis of Awesome video. It's been in thousands and thousands of songs. Instead of doing that progression, they take that 4 chord at the end, where you would want to hear in the key of D, D, A, B, G, back to D. In Sk8er Boi, they take that last G chord and they switch it each time, using a more interesting, in my opinion, alternative. So the first time through the verse, it gets replaced with the flat 6 chord, or B flat. And then the second time, it gets replaced with a C, or the flat 7 chord. The verse sounds like this when you put those chords back into the progression. It goes, he was a boy, she was a girl, can I make it any more obvious? He was a punk, she did ballet, what more can I say? So, it repeats that twice, and it gets your ear used to hearing both that flat 6 chord, the B flat, and the flat 7 chord, the C. The second time through, it uses that expectation to bring us to somewhere completely different for the chorus. So, the second half of the verse sounds like this. He wanted her, she'd never tell, but secretly she wanted him as well. And all of their friends stuck up their nose, they had a problem with his baggy clothes. They hit that flat 7 chord, that C chord, and instead of just popping back up to the 1 chord in D, which you could easily do, she instead treats that flat 7 chord, that C chord, as a 5 chord in a new key of F, and she transitions down into a new 1 chord in F. Take a listen to how it sounds. But all of her friends stuck up their nose, they had a problem with his baggy clothes. He was a skater boy. When you use a chord that functions in both the key you're coming from and the key that you're going to, it's called pivot chord modulation, because that chord that you're using works as a pivot from one key into the next. In this case, we're using that chord, the C chord, as both the flat 7 of D and the 5 chord of F. So you can see they take it to an entirely new key, and not even a close key. In fact, this key, F, is the flat 3 in D. Something that's really interesting about this is that F is the relative major of D minor, which means that effectively when she transitions and modulates to F in the chorus, she's modulating to the key of D minor, or the same set of notes as D minor, without ever using a D minor chord, and then brings us back to D major when she enters the verse. And she does it in a really interesting way. Let's take a look how she gets back into the verse out of the chorus. So she's playing a progression that's 1, 5, 4, 3. It sounds like this. He was a skater boy, she said see you later boy, he wasn't good enough for her. She had a pretty face, but her head was up in space, needed to come back down to earth. She holds that B flat chord, which is the 4 chord in F, and instead treats it as the flat 6 chord of D, and cops back to D major for the verse. Earth, back to D, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, and you're back into the verse progression. So once again, they're using pivot chord modulation to get us back into D major for the verse. This time, they're using the B flat chord as both the 4 chord of F and the flat 6 chord of D. Now, flat 6 to 1 isn't the most straightforward resolution. It's not something our ear might recognize right away. But they've already got us used to it because they were using that flat 6-to-1 resolution way back in the verse and getting our ear used to it. So they take something you might not be accustomed to, they get you used to it in the verse progression, and then they're able to exploit what your ear has already heard to use it as a pivot chord back to the verse. If you like this video, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you're interested in more videos like this, leave me some ideas in the comments of other songs you'd like to see me to cover or other music concepts you'd like to learn. See you next time.